Hi there, and welcome to another interview. A bit unusual because it's based on a Facebook post that I read, and I found it absolutely inspiring and amazing, and an amazing story. And therefore, I had to contact my guest, who is Roxana. Hi, Roxana.
Hey,
It's really nice to have you on. I won't read the whole post out. I'm going to ask you to tell me why you wrote it. So, what made you write this 4 year ketoversary post?
well, it's been 4 years, so I thought I should update everyone. I started the keto journey, really not knowing what I was getting into, but I thought this was the thing, this was my hope, and this has to work. And 2 years later, I had an update. I had lost a lot of weight, and then in the past 2 years, I kind of stalled. So at the 3 year mark, I didn't make an update post, and then I thought, no, at the 4 year mark, I have to make an update post, and yeah, that's why I did the post. I also wanted to show to people that this works, even though I'm stalled. The health benefits I had so far are just amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, actually, because many people do have that weight loss stall, and I say your body is adapting. This is really common. It can be a month, it can be 2 months, and then you'll kick back up into losing a bit of weight, or it could be you've gained muscle, bone density, loads of different things, but stick with it. And I think most other ways of eating, it is just purely about the scale. But it's not when you're doing this. I think it's all about health as well. I mean, I would be quite happy to have a weight loss stall if, for instance, my acid reflux got better during that period of time. And I do point that out to many people. I mean, did you have quite a few things that you needed to resolve then?
Yes. So at the beginning of the weight loss stall, I wasn't concerned because I thought, okay, it's my body healing. And the benefits I had until then was I lost over 100 pounds, which brought me from the obesity into the overweight category. That was awesome. Then it got me off insulin. So I'm type 2 diabetic. I had an A1C of 8.5, which is actually terrible. And I was on insulin. So even though being on insulin, it wasn't controlled. And now I'm off insulin and my A1C is 5.2. So that's much, much, much better. And the acid reflux, like you mentioned, GERD, I don't need the proton pump inhibitors anymore. So that's great. I don't like every now and then I take a Tums, but actually not for the past 2 months, I think. And so I wasn't concerned about the weight stall. And I keep telling everyone, don't be concerned about the weight stall. It's your body healing. But after 2 years, I thought, oh, well, it's a little long. So I dove a little deeper into it, and it turned out that I was severely hypothyroid. I do take medication for Hashimoto. It's a thyroid replacement, and I was just not taking enough. So my T4 was critically low, no, almost critically low. It wasn't just low, it was almost critically low. So that was the cause for my weight loss. So since I now up the dose, I'm losing weight again. I just want to say, if you want to lose weight and you're stalled, don't go running for thyroid medication. That's not how it works. For me, it works because I was hypothyroid.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good, sensible thing to add there. So your journey, when did it start? When did you first think, maybe I should go and do some other way of eating?
Um, so it wasn't really that I thought I should do some other way of eating, because I had, like, in my mind, I tried it all. I tried Weight Watchers, I tried calorie restriction, I tried I even like one of these services where you have food mailed in. I tried a lot, but I always failed. So I thought this can't be the way to go. Like, it's not, I didn't really know what to do. But just before I started, I had very high blood sugar levels. I had sugar levels, like in the US units, it would be in the high 400s. I was like in the 25 to almost 30 range for a week straight. And that really messed with me. Like, it's hard to explain, but you can't think straight. And I also have other health issues, like, for example, NASH, which is inflamed fatty liver. So it's a step up from non-alcoholic fatty liver. And so I thought, like, keto is something I can never do because it's going to harm my liver. And then when my glucose levels were so high, my son is type 1 diabetic. And then I was already on long-acting insulin. So I went to this room in the middle of the night and said, I got to borrow some of your short-acting insulin. Well, I didn't say short-acting insulin. I said some of your insulin. And so he gave it to me, and I calculated in my head that wasn't working right at the moment, and thought, okay, so many units, and then I injected the insulin, and then I thought, oh man, like, what if you did a miscalculation? So I called a friend in Germany, and he was on his morning commute, and he said, calculated everything too, and he said, no, I think you're good, but don't go to sleep. Check your sugar level every half hour, and watch this video, like look up Dr. Stephen Phinney. So I looked him up, and the odd thing was that it says keto right in the title, but I didn't see that. So I watched those, actually 2 videos, 1 hour each, and I thought, oh man, like, I'm getting like goosebumps now saying it. I thought, this is what I have to do. Like this, that's what gave me hope. And I knew how keto worked, and then I knew why it would work, and it was the way for me to go. So I made the decision then and there, I'm going keto.
That's brilliant. And yeah, excellent explanation. I just wonder, can you remember what made you think, what have you read or seen that made you think keto will hurt your liver? Was there a particular thing you'd read, or just generally in the media?
Yes, obviously, generally in the media. So my son, like I said, is type 1 diabetic, and he was diagnosed about 10 years before I started keto. So then in the type 1 community for parents, there's a few people who say, oh, you got to restrict the carbs for your children. And then I thought, oh no, like, what a bad idea. They will resent you for restricting their diet. And then it's dangerous. It's only given to children with epilepsy who are resistant to medication. And so there were like a lot of red flags right from that community. And then, of course, keto involves eating more meat and more red meat. So the liver doctor said, don't eat red meat. She told me actually to drink coffee. So that was awesome. Yeah, I'm on board with coffee. And but with the weight loss, I couldn't do it. And it's still like, when I post my meals in diabetes communities, they say, oh, this will kill your liver, and this will kill your kidneys, and you'll get heart disease from this and that. And it's the predominant, it seems like common knowledge, but it's really based not on any science. It's just wrong.
Yes. And I mean, I wonder if you had spotted keto in the title of that video, maybe this life-changing video you wouldn't have watched. But anyway, you did, which is amazing. So the list is endless, isn't it, of things that it's done for you? It's made you lose that weight. Your type 2 diabetes is in remission, which is great. GERD seems to have improved. You also had in your post something about arthritis. Has that improved?
Yes and no. So initially, I was on a very large dose of azathioprine. Azathioprine is an immune suppressant. So it suppresses the immune system. You're supposed to start on a dose that's bigger, and then you're adjusted to a lower dose, like a maintenance dose. And that didn't happen for me. So I was put on that huge dose, and I was never brought down to a maintenance dose. And I was on that for, I don't know, 15 years or so. And then when I lost the weight, I asked my doctor, like, how about reducing it's Imuran. How about reducing that? And she said, oops. And I thought, okay, it's never good when the doctor says oops. And so the problem was I was on a dose that is given to kidney transplant recipients. So as if I was an organ transplant recipient, and that dose was way too high. So that was immediately cut in half. I mean, not like immediately, like tapered out to half. And then I still felt like no symptoms. Like my fingers were perfect. And started lowering the dose and lowering the dose until I was on nothing. And I was still good for about a year. And then after that year, because I felt so good, I started doing Taekwondo. And I think I may have over-exercised. Or there may have been stresses in my life. I don't know what happened, but I did get flare-ups again. And I then saw another rheumatologist, and he said, actually, you don't have rheumatoid arthritis, you have inflammatory arthritis. I think it's palindromic arthritis, where you have flares every now and then. But I don't have any bone deformations. So he said I would be the first patient in his career, and he was close to retiring, that would have rheumatoid arthritis and no bone deformations. Nevertheless, the inflammations came back, and I kind of now am shifting more towards a lion diet to see if I can tease out this sweet spot where I don't have to be on medication and not get inflammation. So I'm not quite there yet. Working on that.
Well, that's something we could follow up on at some point. And I know you've got a YouTube channel now, and you're trying to spread the word. So when you found these influencers, especially Ken Berry, did you get any one-to-one advice with him, or was it just watching his videos? How did it work?
Yes. So Dr. Stephen Finney, he isn't on social media really. And so I looked for more information. One of the first ones I found was Dr. Ken Berry, and then also Dr. Jason Fung. Dr. Ken Berry had a Facebook community, so I became a member of that, and he did lives, and I could ask questions, and it was kind of cool. And the more questions I asked, like at one point I said, well, you really changed my life. What can I do to repay you? And he said, just spread the word. And I'm kind of like a sucker for challenges. So then I created my Facebook group, my Twitter, my website, and now I'm starting YouTube. It's an old YouTube account, but I just put 2 interviews on there, one with Dr. Berry and one with Dr. Tony Hampton. And it's amazing to get to know these people. And it's amazing to actually see that they are the real deal. They're not just influencers trying to make a quick buck. They're actually saving lives. And Dr. Berry is now on Mighty Network with his own community, the proper human diet community. And he has 10 or so coaches in there, and I'm one of them. So now I actually know him. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. So how did you go about getting qualified to be a coach? What did you need to do?
When he said spread the word, I wanted to give other people advice, but I knew I couldn't just rely on my own knowledge. So I started taking courses. One of them was with Nutrition Network. It was just a keto, low carb, high fat keto advisor course. And then I went to these low carb conferences. There was Low Carb USA and Low Carb Denver. And then I learned about that if I take more courses, I could become a metabolic health practitioner. So that's what, obviously, that was the next step. And then a friend told me, hey, you can become a coach practitioner. And that was actually a pretty intense course because it was weekly Zooms with, they were 2 hours, and then writing essays and finding the science. And they just didn't give us a list of science, so we had to find everything ourselves. And the last thing I now did was Primal Health Coaching. That's with Mark Sisson, and or it's his institute. And I became certified 2 weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations. That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like Mark Sisson. I never had him on, actually, and I would love to meet him. But I think, your Facebook post was just, it just resonated with me, because one of the things you talked about was carb addiction, and it's a disease. You actually wrote, addiction is the disease of the brain, and restricting yourself wasn't something that you found easy. So could you just speak a little bit about that?
Yes. So this was something I wasn't really aware of. When I started keto, every time I did a diet before, I lost 20 pounds. And then I thought, okay, now I'm going to reward myself with a carrot cake with frosting. And then I had that cake and it was delicious. And then I was off the diet. I could not get myself back on plan. I just couldn't. And I never clued in. Like in 30 years, I thought, I just don't have willpower. I'm just failing. And I thought it was my fault. And then I learned about food addiction, and that it basically checks all the criteria of real addiction. And now I'm saying real addiction because both are real for me. When you're an alcoholic, no one would seriously tell you, hey, you've done like a month of sobriety. How about we drink on that? No one would say that. Or just have it in moderation, because if you completely cut it out, you won't be able to control your cravings. Like these things, no one would say that to an alcoholic. And to a food addict, it seems abnormal, like in this society, not to eat sugar. It's almost like frowned upon. Like, what's wrong with you? And but it's if not everyone is a food addict, not or sugar addict, I should say. Not everyone is a sugar addict, but those who are cannot moderate. And so the problem is really the loss of control. When you take the substance of abuse, you cannot control your behavior. It's like similar to taking a breath. You can only so and so long hold your breath, and then your brain will override that. You have to breathe. And it's the same with sugar. It sounds dramatic, but if you're a sugar addict, you know.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds dramatic because it is. I mean, if you're addicted to sugar and you end up with diabetic complications, as Dr. Sean Baker is saying, and I think Gary Fecky as well, these people are having amputations, and that's touched my family. My stepfather had to have an amputation due to the diabetes being out of control. So, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you with your analogy about the alcoholic. I say that about alcoholics or smokers. You'd never say to a smoker, "Oh, we'll just have a couple of packs on Saturday to celebrate that you got through the week," because that's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So why people get away with it when it comes to food is beyond me. So your regime, because people will always ask me afterwards, you didn't ask what is her regime? Is she 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day? So let's do some little bit of housekeeping. What currently are you doing?
So currently I'm eating a modified lion diet. That means I'm eating beef and salt and water. Well, I'm not eating water, but like it's beef, salt, water. I'm modifying it by adding butter and coffee. And that's like just for my indulgence, I gotta say. I'm trying that to eliminate all possible sources of inflammation. And I'm not saying that pork is inflammatory or chicken is inflammatory. It's just I want to rule that out just in case. I'm not eating eggs at the moment, and I love eggs, and they are nutritious, and they are like basically boneless chicken, right? But it's yeah. When I started keto, I ate a lot of vegetables. I think I ate spinach like way too much, and broccoli. I don't know if that even caused a problem. And eventually I then went ketovore, and the longer I went, the less vegetables I had. Didn't have any fruit, and now it's just beef and butter and salt and water and coffee.
Lovely. That's really good. And are you incorporating any fasting?
Yes. So the fasting was something at the beginning of keto, which I thought was just crazy. Like why would people starve themselves? But after 7 months of keto, I couldn't get off insulin. So I did initially lower the dose of insulin, and then I had to increase it again because my sugars would go up. And I thought, oh, well, like my A1C is 5.2, so I'm good. And then I learned no, I'm not, because I'm still hyperinsulinemic. And just the fact that I was on insulin still proves that. But then I thought, how do I get off insulin? And then I learned about Dr. Jason Fung, and he explained he has a series. It's called The Etiology of Obesity. It's a 6-part series, 6 hours. And he explained how fasting works and why it works. And then I did that. And then in 2 weeks, I was off insulin. So that was 16-8 fasting. And usually now I do 18-6 fasting. When I started carnivore, I thought I can no, I didn't think I can get away without fasting, but I didn't pay attention to fasting. And actually my blood sugar went a little up. So doing the fasting, my blood sugar is fine.
Yeah, it does give you a little push sometimes. What about friends and family? What did people around you, what did they think of your decisions?
So I guess like the funniest was when I told my husband, like back in 2019, the next day, hey, I'm doing keto now. And he just knew everything I knew before and just thought it's not healthy. And he said, like, no, you're not. And then I said, yes, I will. And he said, well, talk to your doctor first. And then I went like this behind my back and said, crossing my fingers behind my back, and said, yes, I will. And the plan was actually to ask my doctor about it. And if she would have said no, I would have seen the next doctor until I had found someone. Anyways, so that was his reaction. Over time, they saw the progression I made. I say that for my husband because my kids didn't. Like 2 years in or 3 years in, I asked them, like, how about you do keto? And then, no, why? And well, don't you see like how much weight I lost and how much healthier I am? And they said, no, you didn't lose any weight. And I said, oh, well, yes. And I showed them a comparison picture and they said, oh, wow. And the funny thing is, like, these are adult kids. The youngest is 18 now, so he would have been 17 at the time. I asked, he didn't never see me as this obese person. He just saw me as mom. And that's why he didn't see the progression I made. But other than that, yeah, family, they're not on board as in doing the same thing, but they support me. And I think that's like as good as it will get, and that's good enough.
Well, I think that's amazing. And I love what you just said about your child there, not seeing you as an obese person, just seeing you as a mum. That's beautiful. I think that's really nice. So that's your journey so far, but you sound like somebody who's always learning, always wanting to improve. What do you see for yourself in the future? Have you got a target of extra weight you want to lose or any particular thing?
Yes, definitely. So I want to lose maybe like 40, 50 more pounds. And I want to increase or like to help more people. And doing these coaching courses, I can do that. I actually, I should say, in my Facebook group and on Twitter, I do that a lot. And I do that for free. I don't charge for it. Everything, most questions in the group I will answer. And then there's like 15,000 other people in the group who can answer the questions. What happened about like a year or a year and a half ago was that people started messaging me with questions. And I spent a lot of time with one-on-one talks. So that's why I went into coaching. But like for the future, I have to say that like with my journey and going forward, my life completely changed. I have a daytime job and that's okay. And I earn money, but this gave my life a complete different perspective, like a purpose. Because I think what people really, they lack the knowledge, how do I lose weight? They still think you have to eat less and move more. And this is just not working. It's not working because this is the same thing you would do to work up an appetite, eat less and move more. So how can you increase your hunger and then lose weight? It's just not natural. It's not working. So I just want to reach as many people as possible and Yeah, spread the word, like Dr. Berry said, spread the word. That's what I want to do.
Yes. And I think that's beautifully put. Eat less, move more, will increase your hunger. And that's something I say in a different way, but I think that's nice and simple and to the point. Anything where you're calorie restricting is under eating, and you just think about food. So that's a recipe for disaster, an absolute recipe for disaster. Now, the name Ken Berry comes up ever such a lot in a lot of my interviews, and so many people have asked me if I can get him on the channel, and I have messaged him, and he is too busy. He has got back to me and said maybe and should be able to at some point or something like that. If you could say there's a guy in the UK that's trying to spread the word and he would love to have you on the channel, I would really appreciate that. So that's my little thing there. If you could do that, mainly because I maybe 20% of my success stories, and I've got over 500. Want to thank Kim Berry, so I think it would be nice to get him on. But anyway, enough of that. That's just amazing. I'm so glad that you replied after I read your posts. And at the end of this interview, I'm going to put the post on so people can read how touching it is. It's very short, it's to the point, but your whole life was packed into this one comment. I know it was a 4-year sort of celebration, and you've said how people can get in contact with you. You don't need to spell out all your links. I'll put them in the description. So if anyone wants to contact you, they can easily do that. That will be done once the video's out. I can't thank you enough. I think, Roxana, it's been really a pleasure. I like to keep my interviews short and sweet. Is there anything else you would like to add before you finish the interview?
Well, the one thing is that this unlearn, rethink, everything we've been taught about nutrition, about diet, about weight loss is wrong. Everything we've been taught about meat being dangerous or saturated fat being dangerous is wrong. If you unlearn that, and then if you can look at people like me or other success stories on keto, if that can give you that little bit of hope to try one more time, like that would make my day.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Roxana. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
And now to go over that promised Facebook post that we mentioned right at the beginning of the interview. Today, the 11th of October 2023, marks my 4-year ketoversary, and I can't help but be overwhelmed with emotion as I reflect on my incredible journey. So much has been transformed in my life, my health, my energy, my outlook, and my purpose. Helping and coaching others has become a new passion. I'm now in a position to empower others on their health journeys, making a meaningful impact. I may still be on my path, but I'm inspiring others to join me, not by striving for perfection, but by simply showing what's achievable. How it all began. I was morbidly obese, living with full-blown type 2 diabetes, NASH, GERD, and inflammatory arthritis, at 300 pounds plus too. I was not a happy camper. Healthy and happy at any size? That's a myth. I wanted to believe it, but the reality was that I was deeply unhappy and deathly sick. I followed the guidelines, limited red meat, focused on fruits, veggies, the whole thing. But this advice only made me sicker. Eventually, it led to insulin shots with an A1C of 8.5. Was I the perfect patient? Certainly not. Driven by sugar and processed carb addiction, I was not in control. I did try my best. Well meant advice like, you can't keep restricting yourself, became my excuse to take that one bite. But now I know that addicts cannot do this, they cannot control their substance addiction. How it continued. Early in my keto journey, I discovered Ken Berry, whose advice was the most consistent and helpful. When I asked him how I could repay him, he simply said, spread the word. And that's why I started a Facebook community and a Twitter account. I'm a lifelong learner, so I enrolled in various courses, earning certificates as a metabolic health practitioner, coach practitioner, and low carb health high fat practitioner. My health journey continues. Keto